Hello everyone, I am back with another video. This is going to be another painting tutorial. We are going to paint a moon today. There's been a lot of moon energy and I felt inspired to create this cute little landscape. You can also use this as a greeting card for somebody if you want to. I have a piece of paper here that is 6x9, so you can cut this to make it smaller, whatever you like to do, frame it, whatever makes you happy. Because it's so hot in Arizona, I decided to burn this winter candle because I'm dreaming of cooler temperatures. I make these candles. This is a peppermint snowflake candle, so with crystals. And yeah, we're gonna watch this little snowflake burn while we paint our moon. So what I've done here is just drew a circle. What you see here, this blue, what looks like blue, right? This is masking fluid because we want to stay away from those lines. I want to preserve the white in this section here of the moon because we will add some shadows. And this is what I use. It's called drawing gum. You can find it on Amazon. And I will show you what that looks like. It's a liquid, basically. And you take a little brush and you draw, you cover the area that you want to protect from getting stained, or that you want to preserve the white. I want to preserve the white for all of this, but I'm not gonna go and wet this side of the painting just yet. This will be our last step, okay? And since I'm in the winter mood, I figured we would paint something with pine trees and just make it a cute little night scene. I don't know if you have watched any of my other videos. I'm an intuitive painter, so I go with the flow. I'm going to be using this set today of watercolors. This is Kuretake. It's from Japan. I absolutely love this. Just yummy colors. Look at that shine. So we'll be using this palette today. And I think I'm going to lean on to blues because blue is my favorite color, and I do tend to paint a lot of blue. So let's get started. Because I'm not very sure of what I want to do here, I'm going to draw some lines just for the pine trees, right? Which will be glowing in the moonlight. Maybe some of them will be here. This is a very light pencil. I don't want any marks to show in my painting. So I'm just putting down some lines here as, I guess, some sort of markers just to know where the trees will be. I'm going to be using this brush. This is a 3/4 of an inch filbert brush. So I'll just use this to water the page and work through some of the sky here. This is going to be a very simple painting, and I wanted it to be that way because I want you guys to give it a go and have fun. And for the trees, I'll be using some of these brushes, which have a very fine tip, okay? So let's go ahead and start with laying down the water. I'm not going to go into the moon at all. This is going to be the last step. Also, I want to mention, if you use masking fluid, you have to wait for it to dry completely before you work the painting, because if you let this, if this is tacky in any way, it's going to ruin your painting. And also when you try to remove it, you have to make sure that the paper is really dry, because otherwise it's going to remove a layer of your paper. So it requires a little patience. I think I've mentioned that before, right? That watercolors require patience. Pretty sure I did. So I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with this sky. I kind of want to keep it a bit monochromatic. Not too monochromatic, but maybe if we really wanted to go that way, we would have, you know, like just a teal blue or something. But let's try to lay down some color here. I'm just going to use this. because I'm very undecided. That's how I am. I want a little bit of purple in the sky here because you know there's a glow around the moon, right? We want to capture that. So I'm just using this very light, I'll show you, this super light lavender color. Which will give this like an airy, mystical, magical feel. And we will add some stars too at the end. Okay. A bit more. As you know, watercolors dry very light, so we want to add a little bit more of this. I am very drawn to this color here, so I'm going to make the sky a little bit darker around the edges, right? Because the moon is glowing here, so we have that halo. And around it we have the sky. And I can add a little purple too to complement. So you want this area to stay a bit on the light side to emphasize that glow from the moon, because the moon is glowy. Okay, I'm gonna take some green and start laying down a little bit of these shadows for the trees. The trees in the background are going to be pretty faded, so we don't want anything too deep here color-wise. Whoops, see, I just made a boo-boo here, but it's okay, we'll fix it. If you ever do what I just did, just add more water and you'll be okay. So in my previous tutorial where we painted the bird, I was talking to you guys about layers. So that's really important here, is to have lots of layers, and you have to wait for those layers to dry. I'm adding a little bit more blue here. Also remember that in the distance, whether it's trees or mountains or whatever they are, they have a purple bluish tint, right? So the further away they are, the more purple and blue they are, and as they come closer, they become darker or more green, right? So as you can see here, I'm kind of laying down the foundation for some of these trees, right? And I'll define them a little bit more, but for now, that's where they are. They're here in this format. Okay, just a bit more purple because I kind of like it. Okay, now let's go ahead and use some of this darker green I have here. Oh, it's actually not that dark, but I kind of like it. So I'm creating these shapes that look like pine trees in the distance. And we don't want these too defined because they're far away. They will dry a little bit lighter than that, which is what we want. And you can use different colors for these. They don't all have to be the same color. When I first started painting, I used to paint all trees the same color. But hey, those were the days, right? We all had to start somewhere. Adding here some navy. Feel free to add some blue, whatever your heart desires, because that's what I'll be doing. Let's go to the other side. And you want to do this step while the paper is really wet, because it will create that diffused look. This is what we call blooming. Blooming is not always good, but in this case it is, because that's what we want. We want this to bloom and look like, oh, there's some fuzzy trees in the background. I don't really know where they are or where they came from, but they're there. So, illusions. Illusions. Okay. I'm gonna add a bit more green here. This color is really beautiful. And you know, we might just even add some snow too. I mean, who knows? Okay. So now we have that. I'm going to leave all of this white. I want this glow. And you know, if later I decide I want to fill it out with something, I will. But for now, I don't need to worry about it. I'm moving forward with a different kind of green, right? Because we want layers and layers of these little trees. And while the paper is very wet, yes, we need to keep the paper wet. That's why I lay down quite a bit of water. I don't normally do this if it's something that requires a lot of detail. This is the part that you get to just be free. Do whatever you want. Some blue here, because why not? Look at this beauty. Doesn't this look like it's already kind of chilly outside and snowy? I love that. And when you lay down trees, just remember they're not all the same height. I know it sounds really obvious, but you'd be surprised how quickly it is, how quickly you can go into that tendency of making them look like they're all on the same, because they're not, right? And as the paper dries, these lines will become more defined, which is what we want, right? Because the trees are coming closer to us. So they're going to be much darker and defined. And then you just keep on laying those trees down, just like that. I'm not going to do anything too specific here with how these trees are laying. Nature is not perfect. If you try to make everything symmetrical and perfect, then it's not going to look convincing. So as you can see, I'm using different shades here, getting darker as we get closer. These trees are more visible here in the forefront. You also want to blend this a little bit, like where we don't want to have like a very specific line here. I want a little bit more green, so that's what I'm adding here. And this green is pretty bright, and that's okay because the light is hitting these trees here. So we do want them to be, in fact, I might even add a little yellow here. There you go. So that's where the moon is shining on these trees. So we have more light here. And at this stage, we're still laying down color, right? We're going to have to wait for this layer of paint to dry, fully dry, before we do anything else. I'm going to add a bit more purple here, or actually this blue. Oh, you can't really see it because it's too close to what we have. So I'm going to add a little bit more purple here just to break up the pattern of, you know, these could be rocks or just a little log here. Use your imagination. It's your painting. You do what you like. Okay, I think we're in a good spot. I'm going to take a quick break here and let this dry, or go dry it with a hairdryer. I do that a lot because who has time for this? Because we can't add anything else until this is fully dry. But this is what we have so far. So I'll see you in part 2.